And we are live. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to tonight's episode of IT Career in Australia. So tonight's topic is, will ChatGPT replace tech jobs? So thank you so much for finding some time this evening to join us. Please don't forget to introduce yourself in the comments. Let us know what you do and join our conversation with your comments and questions, or just say hi so we know you're here. Guys, sometimes there is a little problem with the comments on LinkedIn. If you're saying hi on LinkedIn and I can't see it, please say hi on the YouTube channel, because unfortunately sometimes LinkedIn don't post comments straight away. So anyway, I'm Jana Martins. I'm currently working in IT consultancy, and I'm passionate about learning more about the present and future of tech industry. And I'm always eager to share my latest finding and insights with you on this channel. So again, tonight we're going to talk about, will ChatGPT replace tech jobs? And Jason and Evgueni are going to share their insights and experience, their thoughts and opinion, and so on. So a burning topic these days, obviously, it's been a really, really popular topic on the internet for the last few months. So please make sure tag and share this video with your colleagues and friends who need to hear this. So before I pass it over to the guys to introduce themselves, I just want to remind you quickly that we are streaming live on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. If you miss the stream, no worries. You can watch the replays by subscribing to my YouTube channel, IT Career in Australia. I'll go live there every Wednesday, 5:30 p.m. Melbourne time, with the expert from my network. And we're talking about all the things IT career, job search, and in and outs of tech industry in Australia. So, and if you want to make sure you never miss the next show, join my meetup group to receive the invites. So, and again, I encourage you to ask as many questions as you want on all the platforms, but please stay on the topic. Yes. So let's just don't go like all over the place. So anyway, obviously, make sure to say hi in the comments, because if you're not saying hi, we don't know what you hear. So it makes me sad. So Ezekiel's here saying hi. Thank you so much. And I'm just going to pass it to Jason first to introduce himself, please.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. And thank you, Jana, for inviting me back to another one of your webcasts. My name is Jason Van Lint, and I'm the head of delivery at Flybuys, which, if you're not from Australia, is a loyalty program that's quite popular here in Australia. And I'm really looking forward to the chat tonight.
Thank you. And Evgueni.
Hi, everyone. My name is Evgueni. I lead the technology team at Origin Retail, one of the largest energy retailer in Australia. And yeah, thanks, Jana, for inviting me. Looking forward to the chat.
Thank you. And obviously, everyone knows me by now. Anyway, so I guess the first question before we dig into the topic, the first quick question for you guys, why are you even talking about this topic today? Obviously I went to my network and asked who is interested to talk, and a few people messaged me, and here we are discussing this topic. I don't know, Evgueni, why do you think this topic is important for you at the moment in any way?
I guess the ChatGPT kind of exploded on the scene a few months ago, and it's a lot of tools and a lot of the platforms started looking at how to implement ChatGPT or integrate ChatGPT into their platform. So I think the ChatGPT has a lot of interesting potential, and I'm keen to hear other people's thoughts on what that means for their job and how they're planning to use it, because I guess by sharing that, it gives us ideas on how we can use it as well.
Yeah. What about you, Jason?
Yeah, I think Evgeny, now that it just sort of exploded onto the scene so much that even mainstream media was covering it. My mother's watching it on Channel 9 News or something, and she's thinking, well, the AI robots are coming to take over the world. So I think it's a really good topic, particularly this one you're mentioning tonight. Like, it does this new technology, like many other technologies that come before it, doesn't mean that I'm out of a job soon, right? And I think it was a topic that fascinated me, so I was very happy to talk about it.
Yeah. Perfect. So we have a few people joining. Grant saying hi. Thank you so much for saying hi. Here we go. Some friends here. So it's good, and people saying hi. So okay. So before we get right into like the tech job things, I actually want to just quickly bring you back 2 weeks back. And ask your opinion. 2 weeks back, I spoke with Scott, Dr. Scott Boland, about artificial intelligence and the future work, and he had a pretty pessimistic view in terms of what's going to happen, with the future work, and bring some statistics in terms of about 800 million jobs will be lost by automation by 2030, and even said that there is a 50% chance that all jobs will be replaced within 45 years. So and that retraining, we also talk about retraining, that retraining could be that successful. If you've been doing something for 50 years, like suddenly moving into other industry, maybe not as simple. So I don't know, like that's kind of been, I don't know, rather pessimistic view in a way. So I don't know, what do you guys feel like at the moment? So is it that dramatic, and we need to watch out and see what's actually happening with the jobs? What I guess overall feeling about what's coming? I don't know, Jason, do you want to go first?
Okay. Well, I'm sort of less pessimistic. I mean, I think we've all had, when I was growing up as a kid, we were promised flying cars by the year 2000. That hasn't happened, and I'm a bit pessimistic about the pace at which they think jobs. I mean, I guess Scott could be right that eventually most jobs will be replaced by robotics and AI. But when I think about the tech sector, which I think is the kind of focus today, I think ChatGPT offers a unique opportunity to developers and people in tech, just as like the calculators and laptops when they came to school. There was a lot of drama about whether or not these things are going to prevent people from learning the old ways of like writing with pen and paper. But we adapted. Schools adapted. They created programs around this new technology, and I see ChatGPT as just another one of those technologies that will help enable a new level of productivity and learning for us. But not ones that necessarily is ready to take our jobs in the next 50 years. So we were talking about this before. I'm on team people, so I'm not sure. I'm not sure if AI is going to take over. I don't know what team Evgueni is going to be on, but I'm on team people.
Sounds good.
I'm probably going to start with the kids, and I think you brought up a really good example of when the calculators were introduced in schools. A lot of schools were still reluctant of letting it go, and basically say no, that the kids still need to learn the old way, and they still need to learn how to calculate the old way, and they're kind of missing the opportunity, right? It probably wasn't as important for the kids to learn how to do the multiplication by hand. It was more important, how do they use the calculator to do the multiplication to solve more complex problems. So if I look at the jobs that existed 20 years ago, or even 20 years ago in IT, were quite different to the jobs that exist today. And like if I look at the testers, for example, 20 years ago, testing was mainly done manually. Mainly was done on desktops, because the mobiles didn't exist. But if you look at it now, the testing now, a lot of testing is now automation, like automated testing. So the job has changed. The nature of the job probably hasn't changed. It's still all about the quality assurance, but the tools that are available to those testers have changed dramatically. And a lot of the tools, the automation testing tools, are now incorporate elements of AI to do that testing, in a better way, faster way, and make it more robust. So I think Doctor is kind of right in one way that a lot of jobs will be replaced, but I think the jobs themselves will be quite different. And if 50 years from now we still have the job that does exactly the same thing in exactly the same way, then it's kind of depressing. It should evolve. Like, we should see evolution.
Yeah.
So will ChatGPT replace everything? No, I think it will be a key component of a
Right.
future job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A tool set. Like having a personal assistant when you can't afford one, or the budget says you can't have one. Yeah. Like, I mean, I can just imagine having an AI like trawl my inbox every morning and telling me what's important and what's not, right? But I'm not sure they're actually going to be able to make the decisions for me that are going to please the people that work for me and my stakeholders and stuff like that. But having somebody or a tool, help process that for me, would make me much more efficient and service the people that work for me a lot better. I think it's just a tool set.
Okay,
and I can't wait for something like ChatGPT to open one of those emails that you get when it's like a long thread of emails, and you're person number 35 on a CC, and you just ask ChatGPT to summarize it and tell me what was the actual point that long thread of email was actually trying to make. I think that would be quite useful.
Yeah, definitely for productivity. I'm just going to say quickly hi, there's quite a few people joining us. Nikaran is here. Hi, Yana, great topic. Paul is here, great topic. Interesting for everyone. There you go. So Usman's here, great topic. Akash is here. I'm an MBA student, but today I bunked my class to attend this session.
That's okay. ChatGPT will tell you exactly what was in it, and then you'll be up to speed. Yeah, don't worry.
It's like industrial revolution. Go team, Hayana. My God, it's like a million questions right now. I don't even know if we should ask you. Okay, before we look at the questions that people are already posting in the comments. Okay, let's first. I want to ask the simple question in terms of. We're talking about technical jobs. Do you anticipate that any specific tech jobs become redundant in, like, let's take next 5 years? Do you think that particular jobs will in the technical industry will not exist? Like, will we still have software engineers? I don't know, testers, delivery managers. Like, what do you think? I don't know. Who wants to go first? Evgueni, go. You go. I will be picking. I'm not.
I think they will exist. All of those jobs. I think all of those jobs will exist, but I think all of those jobs will need to consider ChatGPT as one of the tools that they have at their disposal. So if you're a tester, then something like ChatGPT might help you write better test cases, or might help you write better automated test cases and create that automation testing. If you're a software engineer, it might save you a lot of time and save you from trying to troll through the GitHub or Google and trying to get the answers for the questions that you have. I mean, we already have had for a while the autocomplete functionality in any IDE. Well, ChatGPT can just potentially make that autocomplete much more powerful. Delivery managers, they'll exist as well, because on any project, I think only 20% of the project is technology, and 80% of the project is all psychology and dealing with people.
Yeah.
And ChatGPT is not gonna replace it anytime soon.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think the answer is it's just a tool. It's just another tool in your toolbox.
Yeah. I mean, I think I've played with Jet. One of the questions is how much have people played with ChatGPT? Well, I've played with it.
Are you jumping to questions, Jason?
Sorry. It's just okay. All right. Sorry. I'm already jumping ahead of the host. I mean, ChatGPT, it's impressive. It's an impressive tool, and it's impressive in its ability to mimic human writing and answers, right? But in my opinion, that's all it's doing. It's just mimic it. When humans use language, there's a kind of intentionality at play, right? The idea is being communicated, and there's some thought that's being put into the words, so that the person on the other side goes into some sort of interpretive process to understand what you're talking about. ChatGPT doesn't have that intentionality. It's not capable of original research It's not a knowledge creation tool. So I think any one of our roles in tech there, where we're creating knowledge, right, is they're not going to go away. And certainly ChatGPT is going to do things like perhaps now you have a fellow developer review one of your pull requests, right? Maybe ChatGPT does that for you instead, rather than taking someone else's time. So my belief is that this is a tool that's going to increase productivity for people in tech. I'm not sure how many roles would disappear, except for maybe content creators. I mean, people who are just creating content and writing simple HTML. I'm not sure how much longer they might be around. But again, maybe it's an opportunity to re-evolve what content creation is and to understand what role humans play in that, and then play to ChatGPT's strengths. It is an amazing piece of technology, but I think it's also through its recent media exposure is probably being over exaggerated in its capability and its capacity to replace humans just now. And like 50 years is pretty aggressive. I know a lot can happen in 50 years, but like I said, we were promised flying cars in the year 2000. Tesla's been promising self-driving cars for 10 years now. They're not there yet. They're close, but they're not there. So I don't know. 50% of jobs.
But maybe it's a jump. Now that we have a ChatGPT and start learning from itself, maybe it will be able to come up with original ideas in 5 years because it's have more and more knowledge.
Isn't that when we get Terminator? We get the Terminator movie. Isn't that what happens when the AI starts self-learning? Yeah. It just decides that it doesn't need us anymore. Once it starts self-learning, we can get rid of humans. Yeah.
Okay, so on another side, so you think majority of tech jobs will stay? There just will be some evolution, it evolve, maybe some tasks will change. So what do you think, what the new skills do you think will become crucial for tech professional to, and maybe do you think they need to possess some new skills now that we have new tools like ChatGPT? Will we choose the, software developer based on the different skill set now? Because before maybe we give like code challenge, maybe now it's not about the code challenge, maybe it's more about, problem solving, things like this. So do you think the skill set gonna change dramatically in 5 years? We'll start with Jason now.
Because you can see me trying to do it. I think one of the things I'm always looking for when I'm hiring people are those devs that are pure software development enthusiasts, right? And they're not totally dedicated to I only do JavaScript, right? I'd like somebody who says, I know JavaScript, but I'm actually curious in a whole bunch of things I'd like to learn. So I think maybe the skills going forward for developers would be like, it's not so much what language you learn, it's that you understand the basics of software development. And then ChatGPT could help you learn whatever flavor of that software the job requires, there was a great comment that someone put up in the chat there that said, I think it's about ChatGPT is going to change the playing field, and then you're just going to have to learn. We're going to have to learn and adjust, similar to how schools had to adjust when laptops came into the scene and the internet came into the scene. It's all going to be about how you adapt to your new job and how the new job has been reframed, rather than coming into roles and saying, oh, well, I just do JavaScript, so that's all I'm interested in doing. Because there will be people who will say, I do JavaScript and I've used ChatGPT to learn how to do iOS development. So, whatever the new mobile platform that will come in the next 50 years when all our jobs disappear. So, I think it's more about that flexibility and being open to learn and how you exploit. So understand the basics, but then exploit ChatGPT to explain concepts to you. Because one of the great things it's good at, right? When you try and learn a problem in Google, you do a Google search, you have 50 articles, you click on the link, it causes another question. So then you type that into Google, you've got another 10 things. And with ChatGPT, it sort of follows the conversation as you're going. And you can ask questions during the conversation, and it knows the context of what you were looking before. And so it gives you some great answers. As a learning tool, it's really good. I think at the moment we struggle a little bit that not everything it puts out is 100% correct. So you do need to take everything with a little bit of a grain of salt. But certainly when it comes to technical things like learning languages, it gives you a really solid basis for moving forward.
Yeah. Evgeny,
Yeah, I
what do you
completely
think?
agree with you. I think what's going to be important, and it's important today as well, is the ability to critically think and dissect the problem and get to the bottom of what the problem we're trying to solve. Because Google was a good example. I mean, if you type a query into Google, it's going to give you the results based on that query. But it's the quality of the question or how you structure that query kind of drives the answers. So yeah, you can throw a lot of stuff at ChatGPT and it will give you an answer. But if you're not asking the right question in the right way, it's not going to give you the answer that you actually need or build the solution that you actually need. So I think, and it's the same for anything like in today's software development. That's the key. I think quality of a good software developer is to really dissect the problem and then come up with a solution to solve the real problem, not the problem that, for example, the user may think that the user actually has. And I remember that there's this like famous drawing of, how the user saw the problem and then how the developer kind of saw the problem and the solution that the developer built and what the tester understood what the problem was and what the solution should have been. So that interpretation of, and understanding what the need is or kind of like what the problem is trying to solve, that's still going to require a human. It's the ChatGPT is not going to replace it.
Yeah. Okay. So we all pro-human here today, and looks like it's still like long way to go for ChatGPT to solve these problems. Ali is actually saying, I'm a copywriter and I'm currently use it as a framework for my words, but it's nowhere near close to the quality and beat of human writing yet.
I agree. I regret saying the copywriter thing now. I'm sorry. I mean, you're absolutely right. See, here's the thing. If I ask ChatGPT to write me a review of, let's say, Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope, right? It wouldn't be able to critically assess the qualities of that film. It's not going to understand the wizardry and the practical effects that came up from 1970s, or the fact that it's a conglomeration of all these 1930s kind of pulp cinema serials, right? It wouldn't do that. It will only regurgitate what it already finds on the internet. So whilst it seems like magic, and sometimes it can pump out some things that seem like magic, there are some very real, constraints to it. And one of it is, it has to have gotten some source material to come to these conclusions and writes back. So yeah, I apologize, Ali.
I agree with you, but I guess and Ali, maybe correct me if if you take a different approach. But for me personally, when I need to write something, like I'll start with a few, just a brain dump of the ideas, and then I kind of like go back and rewrite it, and I have to go back and rewrite it again. And I think something like ChatGPT can kind of short circuit that a bit, so I can throw a bunch of bullet points or a bunch of thoughts to ChatGPT, ask for it to come up with a paragraph, and then use that paragraph to then create, better express.
Yeah, I think that's what she's saying. She uses it for, right? Because you're right. You can't sort of say, write me an email that's going to impress my boss. Right? He's not going to know. It doesn't know the relationship that you have, the nuances of the body language, or how they respond to different language. You'd have to find a specific figure in history or on the internet or something. You could say, please write it in the style of this person I'm talking to.
It was really good. I wrote a letter to South Australian police because I got a fine. So I didn't even need to say anything. I just said, write a letter to the South Australian police because I don't want to pay the fine. And it just generated the exact one. So
I look forward to visiting you in jail. I hope.
It's coming back to Kafik example. Kafik asking, how have the panelists used ChatGPT so far? A couple of practical examples with positive experience would be great. Kafik, by the way, I did pay that fine. The South Australia police come back to me and so this
didn't work for you.
Not good enough. But Evgeny, do you have any good example of you using it?
Yeah, I've used it as a starting point for some of the articles that I was writing, or some of the emails that I was writing. So as a starting point, that was quite good. Asking to rephrase a particular paragraph in a different way, that gave me a few good ideas as well. So that worked quite well. Getting a few ideas on things like company names, or slogans, or one sort of taglines, that worked quite well as well. Yeah, I mean that's probably just a few examples of how I've used it, and I found it really useful.
What about
So
you,
I think
Jason? Yeah.
I've used it mainly for learning. I use it in, when you're like, if Evgueni, when you're a head of a department, you've got different teams working in a lot of different technology stacks, and sometimes they'll talk about a tool or a particular concept, and it'll pique my curiosity, and I'll be like, I'd like to understand more about that topic. And it's more convenient for me going with ChatGPT than it is through Google and having to go through each link to find out which ones are relevant. So a recent one is like, I know that some of the teams are transitioning to TypeScript instead of JavaScript. So I was like, can you please explain to me what the difference is between JavaScript and TypeScript? And ChatGPT gave me these, few key points. And then my next question is, can you give me an example of code, what the same piece of code looks in JavaScript and what the same piece of code looks like in TypeScript? So it was able to pump out then an example for me, which really aided my learning to understand the difference between TypeScript and JavaScript, and gave me a more, I can now talk with the dev teams with slightly more informed opinion about things. I'm more informed about what they're telling me, and sometimes when they can explain some of their challenges to me, I now understand them a little bit more. So I often hear these terms being bantered around, contract-based testing or things like that. And if I'm a bit fuzzy on what they are, I'll type them into ChatGPT, and I'll get a kind of synopsis on what it is.
You know enough to be dangerous.
Exactly what they say, Evgueni. How did you know?
I've definitely used ChatGPT a lot in terms of like generating some emails, content. It's great even if like I can ask them like, oh, I have a live stream about this. Can you generate me some answers, like some questions for for this topic, or like can you come up with some YouTube catchy titles that popular? It does all of these things quite easily, and then you just pick and choose. I find it quite useful, and especially for like, obviously English is my second language, and I think a lot of people can relate to this. It's like such a great tool when you feel like you're trying to express something. You have some idea in your mind, you might have some bullet points, but it just like when you write it, you feel like it's not just quite there. I'll just put ChatGPT and I ask him to rewrite this sentence like 5 times till I get to that sentence that exactly was in my mind. So I find it quite useful.
There are a lot of questions in the chat asking.
I know.
I haven't yet, so I got to admit that maybe these opinions are based off a model that isn't being fully trained yet. But yeah.
Craig saying might not take all the jobs, but it will definitely reduce the workload needed. I use GTP as a fun pair programmer sometimes. Great to ask it questions to sort of double as good junior developer that we haven't hired.
Yeah, imagine the time you take up by developers not having to train junior ones when they can use something like this. I mean, that's a really good use of the tool, and as a good example of how I see it going forward, helping out organizations.
ChatGPT also can see it through meetings that should have been an email.
Yeah, unfortunately, we still do that.
I think that probably brings up an interesting. It probably brings up an interesting question, though. Is the ChatGPT, and it's currently learning off publicly available information. But to make it really useful, you kind of want to let it learn from your private information. Right? And then the question is, well, is the future of ChatGPT is to actually be able to have your own private instance of ChatGPT, or would we always be relying on the public instance. Like, for example, if you, and it's something that we're starting to look at, if you want to use it within a company and you actually have some confidential information that you want the ChatGPT to help you with, to summarize or get the insights, would you even be comfortable of letting the public version of ChatGPT to learn from that information? Or does it actually need to be a separate, secure, private instance? So how do we kind of keep it secure and confidential and still continue to get the benefit?
And I think it's a massive problem at the moment. I think a lot of companies already threw a lot of data into ChatGPT, and it's not really clear where is all this data is stored and how it's used further. There is, I think, a few articles around it about all this breach of data at the moment. I'm not sure, Jason, how you see it. Do you think there is a solution there?
The solution to
private.
I think it is one of the challenges, as Evgueni says. I mean, I think a lot of organizations will be reluctant to. I mean, they'll, the benefit of it is the wide net that it casts to learn all this stuff. The bad part is that you wanted to learn your stuff, but you also don't want that stuff also to be published out there as well. I guess that's a problem that will be solved, and I think Paul Hodge in the chat comments is all talking about prompt engineering, which is all about designing these kinds of tools. That's going to be a skill for the future. So I think it's a problem that will be solved, but for the moment, I agree with Evgueni. It's a tricky one. Also, the whole thing about copyright too, like if you use code from ChatGPT, it's learnt it from other areas. Can you be using that code in your own code base without attribution or recognizing intellectual property? There's a lot of kind of areas where it makes a lot of people uncomfortable. So there's still some challenges there to fix.
Another example, if you use the ChatGPT as your pair programmer, and you ask ChatGPT, hey, help me to write this code, then what's stopping someone else saying, well, help me to write the code to hack into that other company's code, right? So find me vulnerabilities in that code that you just helped to write. So how do you stop it from being evil?
Yeah, we're humans, right? So we'll find a way to make this nice tool really bad for us somehow.
Weaponize it somehow.
Yeah, weaponize, exactly.
Yeah, I kind of just want to say, in the ideal world, it would be great. Everyone knows, everyone information. Everyone knows, the technology. Everyone can share it. So as a whole human nation, we can accelerate really quickly. But as soon as we think about that, not everyone wanna accelerate altogether, and someone wanna benefit. That's straight away the problems will occur. So. And that's, I guess, the humanity problem, not ChatGPT problem, and how we're going to solve it. But maybe we all just need to be Buddhist and just wish everyone the best, and then ChatGPT will help us all. So, but before that happen, I think that the data breach problem is, there's still a massive problem before we can actually freely use the tool.
I was thinking today, Yana, I would like to get a mug made up that says, I don't need ChatGPT because I've got a 10-year-old, because he keeps on telling me he knows everything already. So,
It's chatty enough.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I had a co-worker present a few of the application of ChatGPT for our work life day today. At the end of they revealed that the entire presser was built using ChatGPT.
That's impressive. Yeah, that's very impressive.
Good.
Yeah.
There you go. Okay, so we definitely have quite a few questions. Paul is asking, will prompt engineering become an important new skill?
Yeah, so prompt engineering is the process of designing and optimizing these sorts of tools, and certainly, I mean, that's an example before about someone said the job shift, right? They in the comments, and that's exactly it. The shift might be that we do less of these everyday coding things, and we work more on these machine learning models and AI models and things that improve the tool sets that we already use. So certainly, yeah, I would say that it is most definitely an important new skill that people will learn in tech going forward.
Anything
And we're
to
kind
add
of doing
from you?
it
Yep.
already.
Yep.
I mean, we and I continue to use the Google example. I mean, if you just start using the natural language to try to find something in Google, you're not going to find much. So we're already using it, asking questions in a particular structured way to, to get the Google to actually give us the answers that we're looking for. So I think, yeah, I think that if I understand the prompt engineering term correctly, that the skill that's already quite important for for any software developer, and will just continue to be that important.
And we have actually a few questions about ChatGPT 4. Have you do you have any hopes, expectations? Jason's also asking if you've seen it. Yeah. So what is your thoughts? Have you looked at it yet?
I think it only came out this morning, so I've been busy fighting fire today, so I haven't had a chance to look at it. I don't have any expectations from it either. Just hopefully that it's online more. I mean, you do notice when you try and use it at certain times, it just falls over because the whole world is trying to use it. And it's maybe some expectations around API availability, because they're being quite precious about hooking into the API, which I understand. They're trying to make money somehow. But that would be, in terms of its actual functionality, I don't really have any hopes and dreams. Just keen to play with it a bit more.
Yeah, I think availability would be good to see improved, because like sometimes it's not available because so many people are trying to use it. Being able to maybe give it larger pieces of text to be able to summarize or interpret. I think previously it had a bit of a limitation on how much text you could throw at it. And yeah, I think that I don't know whether they're going to tackle that the split of confidential data versus the public data. Like, I still don't really understand how that's going to work, because to really benefit from ChatGPT, you're going to have to be able to unleash it on your internal data, right? But how do you make that internal data only available to your internal people and not available externally? So yeah, that will be interesting to see whether ChatGPT 4 tackles anything in that space, or whether they still just rely on the public sources or data sources to train it.
Yeah. We have millions of questions, guys. I'm just keep going through. We still have 20 minutes.
Yeah, go.
Akash is asking, will ChatGPT decrease our ability to think and our creativity? Do you think? What do you think about this?
I'll let Evgueni go.
I think it will. It probably will be the opposite. Like, you're gonna have to look at what ChatGPT has generated or created, and think about whether that is what you need, or whether that is correct or not. I think Yana used an example where you give ChatGPT like a paragraph to write, or your thoughts, and ChatGPT writes it. But then you kind of have to take that output and think whether that does represent the point that you're trying to make. So no, I think it's you still need the ability to think and be creative. It's just gonna give you a few more ideas.
And even with the pictures, if we're talking about creativity from the the pictures and photos that ChatGPT can create, again, I feel like it's pushed creativity even more, because the basic ideas ChatGPT can, or whatever the other AI tool can create for you already, DALL-E or whatever it's called, DALL-E can already create this basic picture for you. So it's pushing your creativity even further, because how you can enhance it, how you can make it actually different from that something basic thing that's been put together. So, Jason, what do you think?
Yeah, I think I echo what Evgueni's saying. I think it only will increase. It will be a tool to enable more creativity, to think less about the mundane and more about the creativity. I think part of what people struggle with ChatGPT is they think of it as a knowledge creation tool because of the magic that comes back, and I'm not convinced that it's actually a knowledge creation tool. I think it's just something that is at the moment collecting the body of knowledge that it's found throughout the internet and replaying it back to us, albeit in a very clever way, and an easy way for us to digest. But it's not coming up with the idea of dogs playing poker, right? That was a human for that, right? And we can ask it to create a picture of us of dogs playing poker, but it came from my mind that I wanted to see dogs playing poker. So yeah.
Paul saying, I heard an example of where the programmer had bugs in their code, asked ChatGPT to write some more code, so it wrote more code with the same bugs in it.
Yeah, that's the danger, right? The danger is that it's so magical, we almost take it at face value, when I think if Jenny mentioned before, we should use it as something that prompts us to explore topics more. There's a danger here that well, and we see it with Wikipedia now, right? How many people read what's in Wikipedia and take it directly at face value, right? That's a challenge we have with that, and it's the same with ChatGPT. It should serve as a platform for us to then further our studies and our investigation into a topic, not just take it blindly and say. That there may be a day when it's good enough, ChatGPT version 25, where we have full confidence, but at the moment, we should be treating every result that comes back with a grain of salt.
I mean, that's a danger and a challenge with AI in general, isn't it? Especially the self-learning platforms. You don't after a period of time, you don't know what it's actually learning or what it's learning from.
Yeah, I think it's kind of continue the talk about the data. ChatGPT is a black box, won't be defendable in the court.
Well, you could probably argue that ChatGPT doesn't fall under any jurisdiction, so no court would actually have a jurisdiction over ChatGPT.
That's a good one.
Yeah. Not yet.
Not yet. Yeah, not until the AI bill.
I mean, FTX was based outside of US for a reason.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm just trying to keep up with the all the comments we're getting through. Mike is saying, to your point regarding Google, we have developed SEO skills in order to focus our queries in the hope of getting a better result set. That's actually interesting. How are we going to navigate it in ChatGPT if we're going to do the same, SEO optimization eventually to find the information that it's suitable for us? Do you think that's kind of going to happen?
I mean, one thing that could potentially happen is, we've developed the SEO skills to almost train Google on what information to pick up from our sites and make our sites more findable. I wonder if there's going to be a similar SEO for ChatGPT, because ChatGPT is going to be looking for information. So would we be then structuring our sites, optimizing it for ChatGPT, so ChatGPT learns from our site? I don't know. It's quite possible.
I think this is the magic in ChatGPT. It's the natural language processing that makes it a bit more advanced than Google, because it's absolutely right. Evgueni's right. We've trained our language now to match the Google thing. But imagine a world where you're saying, like, show me a picture of pizza, and it shows you pizza, and you're like, no, I meant the place in Italy with the leaning tower, and then it's okay, and then it comes back. So I think the magic of ChatGPT is that natural language processing, understanding intent a little bit and context, and then playing it back to us in a way that isn't just links to click on, but is also language as well. I think that's the magic. So if I wonder about jobs that aren't going to appear, I wonder if Google and SEOs are going to be around in years, whether we all just now are interacting with basically chatbots that are, attributed to different apps or systems or,
But I guess the question is whether ChatGPT is able to take unstructured data and make sense of that unstructured data, or do we actually need to make it structured in a way to feed it into ChatGPT?
Yes.
And I guess
do.
that's what I meant by the SEO skills for ChatGPT.
Right. Yep.
Like at the moment, we create our websites and create our things, and we tag them in a way that Google can interpret them. Like, do we actually need to start thinking about tagging them for ChatGPT to interpret them?
Right. I get it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of, the whole new stage. But you would think something like this will start happening, because if the ChatGPT gonna, replace Google in some way, obviously people would want the information to be found first. So yeah, so hard to say at this stage, I guess, how it's gonna evolve. But then saying don't put any confidential data to ChatGPT, you will be liable if anything happens.
That was the I think this conversation we had earlier, right? Is at the moment ChatGPT is public, right? So if you put any confidential information into it, then it means that it would be publicly available. But the power of ChatGPT could be that if you do give it confidential information and you have a private, secure, instance of ChatGPT that you can use within your your organization or for your personal use. Yeah, I think it will be interesting to see what the OpenAI or what companies kind of how do they solve that problem.
Yeah. Oh, guys, we have, about 12 minutes left on our live stream. So there's a few questions and comments coming through, but I just want to bring us a little bit back to the topic. Yeah. We've been talking about, will actually ChatGPT gonna replace tech jobs? So I think like in this discussion, we've been positive and we established that that's not gonna happen. And we go for, for human power. But I guess, if you would give some advice to people who's, listening, or especially people maybe who early in their career at the moment in their tech career. So what kind of, advice would you give, how these individuals can stay up to date with this latest, technology, and how they can, progress in the industry, taking consideration that, now we have a ChatGPT and further technology, what would be your top advice? Evgueni, do you want to go first?
Sure. I think if you're early in your career, then doing what Jason is doing and using it to, fast track your learning. I mean, you just use ChatGPT. If that makes it faster for you to consume and understand the concepts, then you should do it. I think if you're a software developer and starting your career, understanding the core concepts is still important, right? ChatGPT is not going to replace it. So learning those core concepts of how the software, what is the good design of a software system, how the object oriented, like how does that work, you should continue to do it and to learn it yourself. And I guess if ChatGPT helps you, then great, use it.
Yeah. What about Jason?
I'm not sure what else I would add, except be open. Just be open. See it as a tool. Learn those fundamentals, and then be open to using the tool to learn new things, and be confident about it. Right? Be confident about saying, "Listen, I know you want me to learn this set of skills, and I don't have them right now, but with something like ChatGPT, I'm pretty sure my learning will be accelerated, and I can start showing some progress within 4 weeks or whatever." Don't I would say don't be shy about advertising how you use ChatGPT in your learning and making your skill sets better, the ones that you have already. It's not a threat. It's a really valuable tool that we can use.
Just do keep in mind that anything you put into ChatGPT is potentially public knowledge. So don't put any confidential information into it. Don't put any PII into it. Just basically assume that whatever you put, it would be the same as just sharing it publicly.
Yep.
Yeah,
And
don't ask me, what should my new pin be?
What would be a good password?
That would be a good
and does it same goes to the code? Like if you want the ChatGPT to produce some code, how careful you would be, putting some coding task into ChatGPT if you're doing something for work?
Oh, it's hard to understand. Yeah, it would be very specific to the situation, right? There's probably not a lot of code that's like absolutely, except if it's code to do with encryption or some sort of security thing. I wouldn't feel too nervous about it, but unless it was like those sorts of things about security and encryption. But I'm not sure what Evgueni thinks.
I think there's still an open and ambiguous area of whether the code that you take from ChatGPT is who has the right to that code, right? Because the ownership of that is obviously ChatGPT got it from somewhere. So the ownership of that code is a big question mark. I think a lot of the contracts probably have clauses like whatever you write while employed by us is owned by the organization that you're employed by. So I think that's, there's still a legal, area that needs to be kind of sorted on who has the copyright to that code and who actually owns that code. So yeah, I think that still needs to be kind of sorted. I kind of see the ChatGPT right now as almost like doing a Google search, and if somebody put a snippet of the code and you use that code or that snippet, then you use it almost like at your own risk. But if you start to download libraries, that library usually does come with either a disclaimer or some terms and conditions or some kind of a license.
Jason, anything to add?
No, I mean, I think I said my piece before. It's just I do know that Jason is calling out in the comments that ChatGPT doesn't like make your information totally public. I get that, but I guess it can be. If OpenAI can review it, then it can be incorporated into future searches theoretically. So,
It would be an interesting test to do. Like if you put something that only some kind of a secret, if another person asks ChatGPT that specific question about that specific secret, would ChatGPT reveal that information?
Give you the answer.
Yeah, it would be an interesting test to do.
Here we go. We can definitely. That's but it needs to be something quite unique. Let's try it. Yeah, we don't have time to do it live. We only have 5 minutes left. But it's need to be some sort of, I guess, unique example. But then I think ChatGPT is not allowed to share names, so it wouldn't share the name anyway. But it can share the actual information. So I feel like it refuses to, like if you ask them directly, it refuses to share the name or refuses to share the person. But if it's a piece of information, it might. Here we go, guys out there. So it's something for you to do tonight. come up with something.
Yeah, I'm gonna try it tonight.
Something really unique.
I'm gonna try it tonight. What's your password again, Evgueni? Well, it was.
Oh, that could be a simple test, like share the password and then ask if Evgueni shared the password. It wouldn't give it. It wouldn't give it. So it will be too obvious. It will be too obvious even for ChatGPT.
We got a question to finish on, Yana?
Jason's asking about, I think, extension of this question. Also consider out of the petabytes of data it's consumed, who else would have the same secret?
Yeah. That's a good point.
I think it's unlikely, but I do wonder. I mean, if it is building its knowledge based on the inputs, so puts in some, I don't know, some confidential information to ChatGPT, and someone else asking, I don't know, an example I could probably use is, let's say if you have a a particular trading strategy, right? And you ask the ChatGPT, and you work for a company, for example, like a trading company, and you ask ChatGPT to refine your trading strategy, and it does it. If another, if your competitor asks a specific question of, what's the trading strategy used by that company, would ChatGPT actually give that answer? Like, I don't know, maybe it wouldn't.
Yeah, but I guess we need to ask OpenAI
We'll need to do some
for
testing.
this question. Or ask ChatGPT about it. Okay, guys, if you have one last quick question, you can still post it in the comments. Before we finish this stream, I'm just gonna do the exciting part, the virtual coffee chat giveaway. So while I'm gonna do the announcement for next week, if Evgueni and Jason, you can scroll through the comments and questions that come to this live stream and pick the winner, pick someone that gonna go to the virtual coffee with you sometimes next week, so they can maybe continue conversation and ask more questions, or you can just build a bit of a human connection. Here we go. Instead of ChatGPT connection. So, and next week, while you guys looking at the comments, we're going to talk with Catherine, and the topic next week will be protecting your mental health in IT industry, tips for women. So, so we kind of continue the topic of women in IT. We had a live stream last week, and so we're going to talk about mental health with Catherine next week. And I'm actually will be really interested to run another live stream with the same topic, just for men, protecting your mental health in IT industry, tips for men. So if anyone out there want to be a speaker for this one, please put your hand up, or if you know someone. So I'm want to keep my channel equal. If we have a tips for women, we should have a tips for men as well. So please put your hand forward if you want to talk with me on this topic or know someone who would be good at. Anyway, Evgueni, Jason, have you picked your virtual coffee network giveaway? Jason?
Yeah. So Mike Kavanagh seems like an interesting person to chat with. So if he would like to have a 30-minute virtual coffee or 5-minute virtual coffee, whatever, I'd be open to that. That'd be cool.
Perfect. I'll definitely connect to you guys on LinkedIn. Evgueni, have you choose anyone?
Yeah, I'll pick Dan.
Dan, and talk about the black boxes and the privacy policy.
Black boxes.
Sounds good. So I'll make sure that you guys have a virtual coffee chat sometimes next week as well. Perfect. Thank you so much, guys. So we have 1 minute left, and traditionally, I don't know how you're gonna connect it to ChatGPT, but please try. But I would like to finish this live stream with some, inspirational quote or some, life statement from you guys. So,
should have given us first.
I wish I was prepared for this.
Yeah, of course, no one prepared. You can come up on the spot. Okay. Anyway, you think about the inspirational quote. While you have 20 seconds to think about the inspirational quote. Guys, whoever's on this stream, thank you so much for watching us tonight. So I really ask you to, like this video if you enjoyed our conversation. So obviously, it's Cost you nothing to like this video and make me to keep going. So obviously, press this likes button, share this video with people who need to hear this and interested in the topic. And obviously subscribe to my YouTube channel, of course. Again, subscribe to my YouTube channel, burn some calorie while you're clicking that button. And that's enough of me. Now, Jason is going to tell us his inspirational quote.
All right, maybe I'll just say I'll give a quote that I give to a lot of people sort of early on in their career journey at work when I often have chats with them. It's good to have a destination in mind, but it's the journey that matters, right? So whether it be career or learning a new piece of technology or learning a new language, it's good to have that destination in mind, but don't forget it's actually the journey getting there where you have all the learnings, the frustrations, the highs, the lows. It's that part that's most important.
Perfect. Enjoying the journey. What about you, Evgeny?
I like the quote, bite off more than you can chew and then chew like crazy.
Yes. That's awesome. Yeah.
Just go, try to expand your, go out of your comfort zone. And I think ChatGPT is one of those things. Try to use it, see what it's, see how you can use it better, see how it helps you. But yeah.
Enjoy the journey and, keep chewing hard on your journey. Grant is saying, now would be a good time to use ChatGPT to find inspiration quote.
Exactly.
I gave you 30 seconds to,
I have, and it came up with ChatGPT is not just a machine, but a manifestation of human curiosity and ingenuity. It represents the boundless possibilities of technology and the limitless potential of the human mind.
That's a big statement.
There you go.
So let's just finish on this one and go away till next week to think about the big statement from ChatGPT. And while you're doing this, enjoy the journey and keep chewing, keep biting and keep chewing.
Thank you very much for having me, Yana. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you so much, guys.
Thanks, Yana. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. And Mike and Dan, I'll get in touch with you so connect you to the virtual coffee chat. Anyway, the Jason saying, have you used the Bing? Here we go. Bing will be a next topic of the next live stream. Yes. Thank you, everyone. And I'll see you next week.
See you, everyone.